What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Ty from Ty Drives, and this is the 2021 Volkswagen Atlas 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder in the SE trim level. In this video, we're going to take a walk around it, look at what makes this unique on the exterior. We're going to move to under the hood, since this is the 2-liter turbo, so it's the smaller of the two engines available on the Atlas, and you don't really see these 2-liter turbos all that much. We're going to then move into the interior, starting with the trunk, then moving into the second and third row of seating, and then we'll make our way to up front in the driver's cockpit. And then at the end of the video, we're going to take this car out for a drive, and we'll see how the 2-liter turbo compares. But getting straight into it, we're going to start up front with the headlamps. Now, full LED headlamps come standard on the Atlas no matter what trim level you get. As you can see, high beams, low beams are all LED. You have LED daytime running lights, and your turn signals are also up there. Nice sparkly metallic paint too, with the gray exterior. You have some nice sporty trim up front, and the nice big Volkswagen emblem. The hood is very tall and also pretty long. It's got some pretty neat creases. And looking out over the hood from the driver's seat, I could have sworn I was driving like a Silverado 1500 or something. It just gives you this feeling that you're driving a very large vehicle. And that it is, it's pretty large. Now on the SE, we get these nice 18-inch wheels. To me, I think these are the best looking wheels on the Atlas. I don't know what it is, it's just kind of a smaller shape with the really neat design on the inside. But yeah, I think these are the best looking wheels that you can get on the Atlas. And they're wrapped around 245/60 tires. As you can see, you have the flat black going all the way around the wheel arches and down the side. You have roof rails up top. And as you can see, our mirrors have the blind spot warning in them and a LED turning indicator. You have smart key on both the front door handles, and some pretty prominent creases going along the sides to really give this a unique look. As you can see, kind of the creases coming from the front to the rear wheel arches. Really kind of a rugged looking appearance for this car. Taking a look back here, we have the third wiper, nice spoiler and shark fin antenna up top. And pretty much fully LED back here too, so taillights, turn signals, and brake lights, all LED back here. Really nice chrome strip accentuating the size of the rear. And then we also have some chrome elements down below that kind of mimic an exhaust tip, and the real one is down below. We also have this really large reflector that runs the span of the vehicle. We have the Volkswagen Atlas emblems on the back, trunk release, and a parking camera is back there too. And as you can see, this one is the 4Motion all-wheel drive, and you can also get front-wheel drive if you're in the southern climates that don't get a lot of snow like us. So what do you think about the exterior on this Atlas? I think it's pretty good looking, especially in the SE trim with these wheels. So popping the hood, again we have the base engine, which is a 2-liter turbocharged inline 4, and it's good for 235 horsepower, 258 pound-feet of torque. And as you can see, it's a really large engine bay with quite the small motor. Of course, you can get the upgraded 3.6 liter V6, but we'll save that for a separate video. As you can see, relatively easy access, and as you can see also, the engine is set very down low, so it kind of keeps the weight of the vehicle down low as well. You can see the hood latch over here as you just move over to open the hood. And the battery's up here as well. You have some fluids you could check, like the coolant over there. And it looks like a relatively easy access engine. right, so I'm very pleased to tell you that even on the SE, which is basically just one up from the base model, you even get a full powered liftgate, which is really nice. Now I kind of left one of the third row seats up so that you can see how much room you have behind the third row seats and then behind the second row seats as well. So obviously if you fold down all the rows of seats, you'll have an absolutely massive amount of cargo space. You can even go to Home Depot and probably fit a piece of plywood in here if you had to. Some accessories that come with the car: you got first aid kit, roadside assistance kit, and then you also have the cargo blocks, and our wheel locks kit is over there too. Nice all-weather cargo mat in the back, and if you lift it up, you could see that there is a spare tire under there, but it's covered. So back here you have some amenities too, like grocery bag hangers and tie downs. And it's very simple to fold the rear seats from here. You just kind of hit this lever and the seat will fold right on down. And if you want to pick it back up, they give you this tether here and you just pull the string. You want to close the trunk? You can either use the handle or just press the button. And making our way into the rear seats. Very large rear doors, as you'd expect from an SUV of this size. Again, the really unique feature on the SE is the sunshades. So you actually have sunshades on this car. Really nice door panels with the leatherette and stitching on the side. And you kind of have a color contrast gray for the armrest. And the seats on the inside and pretty much the rest of the interior is a black leatherette. Lots of storage on the door, as you can see, an upper and a lower section and a bottle holder, and you also have a couple of speakers. 6 speakers for the SE. And to get into the third row, you just kind of peel the seat back like so. It'll fold back like that, and then you can push it up on its tracks. As you can see, you have a nice wide opening. Hop in quick to show you how much room we have back here. So for a person of my size, I'm 5'10", I actually have a couple of inches of room. Now if I fold up this seat over here, you can see that this seat is all the way back in its tracks, and you still have a little bit of leg room. Super easy to get out of the third row, and they give you plenty of room for your legs to move around. And there's also a bar underneath the seat right here where you can slide the rear seats back and forth. And this handle right here will just fold the seat backs down. I'll get in the second row. And as you can see, I adjusted the front seat to a normal driving position for myself. Again, I'm 5'10". And with the second row seats all the way back, take a look at that. I have more than 6 inches of room. If I wanted to slide up a little bit and give the third row passengers some space, I still have a good amount back here as well. You have rear climate control back here, so you have the temperature, the fan speed, and then where you want the air to blow. So it is a 3-zone climate control. And you also have some power outlets, looks like some USB-Cs and a 12-volt. You have grab handles up top and LED lighting. And you also have an armrest still wrapped in the plastic. Alrighty, so here we go with the front cabin. Now the front is just a little bit nicer than the rear is. You can see you have this nice silver trim and kind of like a faux wood trim as well, which looks very nice. You have soft touch up here, hard touch down there, and leatherette over here. Obviously you have all of our window switches and mirror controls, the door handle, lock unlock. You also have a trunk release right there, and again a speaker on the door. On the left of the dash, we have a nice big air vent. We have all of our headlights and frog lights. A little coin storage or something like that. You can put a little box of tissues in there. You have your hood release, pedals. You can see that all other floor mats are installed. And you also have the tilt telescoping steering wheel release there too. The seats are fully powered, and they have this nice sort of drilled texture to them. Nice leatherette seats with two-way lumbar. All right, so here is the key fob you get with the SE. Pretty nice key fob. You got the Volkswagen emblem on the back, panic alarm on the side, and you can also slide out a physical key from the top in case you need it. You have the lock, unlock, trunk release on the other side as well. The only thing you're really missing is the remote start, and that'll come on the SE with technology package. Of course, it has push button start. The button's right down here. Put your foot on the brake, and the car will start right up. All right, so the new Atlas has the new steering wheel that Volkswagen is starting to come out with. It's a really nice, attractive looking steering wheel. It's got plenty of functionality on it too. I really like the airbag cover with the Volkswagen emblem without like the frame in it. It looks pretty neat. You also have nice bright work going around. But as far as functionalities, you basically have all of your cruise control over here as well as your driver's assistance. And on the bottom you have your audio volume. Over here we have voice commands, a view for the screen up there, and kind of the rest of the buttons in black are for the TFT screen up there. And we have skipping for your tracks and your radio. Behind the steering wheel you have your turn signals and high beams, and your front and rear wipers. And our gauge cluster is pretty good looking too. Has pretty much all your standard stuff with a couple of cool different things which I'll show you. Now we're going to use all these buttons to page back and forth, up and down, and OK to configure the screen. Take a look and see what happens here. So we're pretty much at the most basic screen, your driver's information. If we scroll down, you can see average speed, distance, kind of just all of your trip computers and whatnot, fuel range, average fuel economy, real-time fuel economy, different temperatures, speed warnings that you can manually set, and it cycles back. But then you could also press the back and forth to get to see what kind of assist systems you have. So you have all of those active at the moment, and you can select and deselect if you'd like. You have a compass, the audio screen, telephone, and back to the vehicle status screen. The upper dash is pretty nice and soft to the touch. You have a big storage area up here, some stitching that goes all the way around too. You have a couple of air vents that surround your screen. So it's an 8-inch touchscreen, obviously the newest version of Volkswagen's multimedia. So you press the button, it turns on, you go to the menu screen. And this also has sort of like a gesture control to a certain extent. So you can pretty much just go like this across the screen, and it'll swipe between the different pages, which is pretty cool. And there's a couple things I'd like to show you, such as the radio screen. You can see all of your presets pop up down there, source and tune, all that good stuff down at the bottom. We also have your phone screen, navigation, which you can get obviously in the upper trims, but every car obviously comes with navigation as long as you have an Apple phone or an Android phone, which you could hook up with the App Connect, so the Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Of our media screen and the vehicle information, so what this has to do with sort of some trip things and whatnot. And then you can also look at the vehicle status. So this will kind of tell you if there's anything wrong with the vehicle or you have some upcoming service. Of our sound settings for the speakers. We have a climate control screen too, which is actually pretty useful in this car at least, because you can control the front and the rear climate from that screen as well. As you can see, fan speeds over there, temperature over there. And then one more thing I wanted to show you was the settings. So this is just kind of all the system settings. And you obviously have shortcuts, a volume knob and a tune knob over there. The app button is for your phone connections. And taking a look below the screen, we have the climate control. So super simple, 3-zone climate control. We have temperatures to either side for the front zones and fan speed in the center. Heated seats for both the front passengers and then where you want the air to blow when they're circulating. And this will also bring up the menu up top for the climate. A couple of buttons down below, such as your auto start stop on and off. We have our hazards as well. Pretty large storage tray. You could probably put a couple of phones down there. It's on the larger side of the storage there. A couple of USB-Cs and a 12-volt power outlet. And now we make our way down to the gear selector. It's an 8-speed torque converter automatic, so you can put it into reverse. Have a nice reversing camera, and the guidance lines move as you move the steering wheel. Obviously you can get a 360 view camera if you get into the upper trims, and neutral and drive. Then you could actually just pull the shifter back like so to get it into a sport mode, and you also have manual shifting. Have the start stop button like you saw earlier, electronic parking brake, and you have a couple of different driving modes. So over here is a snow mode, and then we have just your normal road mode, and they give you a couple of different sub selections like eco, normal, sport. Then you also have a custom where you can adjust a couple things. As you can see, you can adjust the steering feel, how sporty the engine is driving, and kind of put the climate control on a different setting. You have off-road mode, and also a custom off-road mode, which is really cool to see that. So you can see there's a couple of things that you can adjust in the custom off-road mode, but we're going to leave it in the normal mode for now. Two very American-sized cup holders, and by American-sized cup holders I mean they're very large. Also very large center console here. You can lift it up, see that there is a ton of room, and the center console this large you really don't ever see in German vehicles, so that's pretty cool. As you can see, it's definitely adapted for the American market. Taking a look over on the passenger side, we have another piece of kind of simulated wood trim with a lockable glove box in there with some smooth plastic on the inside. Plenty of room too. Up top we have a nice big rear view mirror, and moving even more up top we have some LED illumination, some more lighting controls around it. Very large sunglass storage, so you could fit some pretty large aviator sunglasses in there, and some different controls for the SOS and servicing information buttons up there as well. Very large visors as well. As you can see, kind of everything in this car is a pretty good size. You can also take the visor off and extend it like so. They also give you a mirror and LED light up there. That pretty much does it for the features of the car. Enough of that, let's get this thing on the road and see how the 4-cylinder performs in such a large car. All right, driving the Atlas 2.0. Now this should be an interesting car to drive because the Atlas 3.6 has enough power. It has more horsepower, I think around the same amount of pound-feet of torque, but this just seems like such a small motor for this car, and we'll see how it performs, but it gets pretty good numbers. So 235 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque out of the 2-liter turbocharged inline 4. So get down over here. Remember, this is a big vehicle, and we'll see what the turning radius is like. So really pretty good for a vehicle of this size. This is quite the large car. I don't know if you could see from the camera at least, but looking out over the hood on this car, it's long, it's wide, it's pretty large, and it feels like you're driving a Ford F-150 or a Silverado 1500. It just feels that big in here, which is a good thing for this class of vehicle, because what you're buying this car for is room, and there is plenty of it in this Atlas. Now for this section of the drive, we're gonna get the car up to about hopefully 45, 50, and we'll see what it sounds like with the tire noise and whatnot at this speed. And we're doing just about 50 right now, and there is very minimal tire noise. It's a very comfortable ride. Obviously the steering is a little bit on the lighter side, actually quite a bit on the lighter side. But the steering's got a nice ratio to it, you know. As soon as you get it maybe an eighth of a turn, it's going where you point it. So it's a pretty direct steering rack. It just doesn't have a whole lot of feel to it. And everything's very quiet. You have pretty large mirrors, and they're not making a whole lot of noise at all. Now I'd imagine this is going to be a pretty comfortable riding car too, because of the smaller 18-inch wheels. Alright, so we're coming up this hill here. We're going to take a right, and we'll get up to about 25 miles an hour, and we're going to mash the gas and see what kind of power this has. About 20 miles an hour right now, and we'll see. Yeah, so this is very impressive for a 4-cylinder. Quite impressive. The car just, I kind of felt the car just squat down like that, and it just went. It's 8-speed automatic, reacted pretty good too. Now of course this car has the sport mode and everything like that. I just kept it, this car is going to be a normal mode for the whole drive. Sport mode really doesn't do a whole lot in a car like this. Yeah, I did very well in the acceleration. I'm pretty surprised. I've driven my fair share of Atlases with the V6, and they're pretty good. But I would say this is just about as good. Very comfortable ride. Looks like we're going to be caught up in a little bit of traffic here, so this is a good point to feel out the ride at kind of lower speeds. And this is a pretty rough road too. It's a good if you've ever been up in New England, then there's a lot of roads just like this. It's very kind of windy, there's lots of elevation, there's lots of potholes. So if you're up here in New England, these are the roads that you're going to be used to. And you'll get used to them really fast with this Atlas because it's very comfortable. So pretty much all Volkswagens that I've driven, kind of in normal acceleration, they keep the RPMs lower, like below 2,000 RPM if you're in normal driving situations. But this one seems to keep the revs a little bit higher when you're accelerating, so that you have the extra power if you need it, if you decide to floor it. Turbocharger does pretty good for this car. It's really, this actually has better horsepower figures than the GTI. by much, but a little bit better. This is a really rough section of road here. It seems to be doing just fine. There's no jarring from the suspension. There's a little bit of road noise, as you could probably hear, but there's nothing unexpected. Seats are also pretty comfortable in this car too. There's kind of like 3 different grades of materials you can get on the seats, which is kind of rare. You really don't see, either get cloth or leather, but you can get cloth on the base model, the S, and then you have the SE, SE with technology, and SEL. All have the leatherette seating surfaces. Then when you step up to the SEL Premium, you get real leather, very nice seats, cooled seats, all that good stuff, memory seats. Lots of different features that you can add on to this car, although this is pretty loaded up for just the one up from the base. I was kind of shocked to see the power liftgate on an SE. And I know I was saying earlier, it kind of feels like you're in a big car just looking over the hood, but once you have it out on the road, it's very easy to drive. Don't be intimidated by the size of this car if you're looking for a car of this size. It's just an easy car to drive, and there's just so much room in this car. It's unbelievable. There's a fair amount of body roll, as you'd expect, but you're not buying this for a performance car. That's a family hauler. You're buying it to be comfortable, to be spacious, and just a good daily driver, all-around commuter car. And we'll do a little half throttle acceleration. We'll see how this thing handles it coming up the hill here, just ending out our test drive. Brakes feel pretty good too, by the way. So yeah, this motor doesn't do too bad at all. I'm pretty shocked. Pretty shocked at how well this does. Alright, so making our way back into the studio, what are my final thoughts on the Atlas 2.0T? And we're ending off on a pretty high note, because I'm pretty shocked at this car, really. I wasn't expecting for the little 2-liter turbo in such a giant car would get this thing to move so well, but it definitely does. It really does move pretty well. And on this SE, I'm really shocked at how much features you have. It's just such a nice car for a good price point. You can have the option of getting all-wheel drive or front-wheel drive if you'd like. And there's just so much room in this car. It's just cavernous. You know, it feels double the size of a Tiguan. Seriously, it's very large in here. Very premium feeling too, you know, everything fits together nicely. There's no panel gaps or anything like that. It's just a great all-rounder, and I definitely recommend the 2-liter turbo in this car. We will also test drive the 3.6-liter V6 in the Atlas, and we'll do a nice upper trim level so that you guys could see all of the options on top of the SE that you could get. And make sure you stay tuned for that video, and that'll be coming in just a couple days. So as I would like to end out the video, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you stay with us here at Ty Drives for future reviews and test drives just like this one.